everybody, and welcome to the History and Jail channel, and welcome to another video. Today we are going to ask ourselves an interesting question indeed. We are going to explore why Napoleon Bonaparte might have been the Übermensch. So, if that interests you, please stick around. If it doesn't, please stick around and fall asleep to it. I don't care. But I guess we'll just get into the video. I will start this video by saying why he might be the Übermensch, and then later on we'll discuss some reasons why he might not be the Übermensch. But as some of you might know, Nietzsche described Napoleon as somewhat of a synthesis between the inhuman and the superhuman. And so yeah, he actually described him as a rare example of the will to power. And we will explore why he says that right now. So, Napoleon, according to Nietzsche and according to history, Napoleon, he came out of nowhere, Napoleon, he was an officer in the island Corsica. Let me just drink a little bit of coffee. It's decaf. If you're wondering, I just really like the taste of coffee. But I can't be drinking caffeinated coffee all day, But yeah, so Napoleon, he was an officer in the island of Corsica. And back then Corsica was also not really seen as real French. I know that there has been a history of uprisings in Corsica, and Napoleon wasn't anyone of meaning or anything like that, and yet he made himself to one of the most powerful people in Europe. He creates himself without being dependent on tradition, or lineage as well, because a lot of people in power throughout history, they are born in power, but Napoleon, definitely not the case. So that is a reason why one might say that that Napoleon was in fact an Übermensch. Moving on, Napoleon, he also created new values. In Le Code Napoleon, Napoleon actually breaks with traditional law. For example, back in the day, France was really divided. The law system was really divided. In the south, people, they tended to follow certain ancient Roman laws, and in the north there was this how do you say it in English? In Dutch it's Grondrecht. Napoleon, he actually made everybody in France equal. Revolutionary mindset, so every man is equal, because before Le Code Napoleon, people were often punished by according to their stance in society, their class in society. Like, you have the nobility, clergy, and then you have third-class citizens. And for example, a nobleman, if he did something wrong, he would be punished differently than a common person, But Napoleon, he was like, no, he ended that. He says every man is equal. So this resulted in a nobleman could receive the same punishment as a peasant, for example, which is really a revolutionary thing, because actually those values, they were born inside during the French Revolution. he was the first person who took the values from the French Revolution and translated them into in France, you know. Because before him there was like complete chaos, and yeah, he succeeded into that. Let me just check. Yeah. Yeah, and another argument why Napoleon might have been the Übermensch, according to Nietzsche, is the aristocracy of the mind. When I say aristocracy of the mind, it means that, like, Napoleon, he was a very, he was interested in a lot of things, and he tried to gain knowledge on stuff and explore certain things, and that became valuable inside the society, the French society, rather than the aristocracy of blood, you know, like being born in a high standing. No, under Napoleon, you could actually study your way up to a certain like, what's the English word, to a certain status, in society. Whilst before that, oftentimes you were just born a nobleman and you were perceived as a nobleman. So drastic change, very Übermenschy. And the final reason why why Nietzsche might see Napoleon as the Übermensch is actually a really big one. Amor fati. Napoleon, he was famously known for his bravery on the battlefield. Even in like really dangerous battles, Napoleon often led charges, cavalry charges, during the battles himself. Could you imagine, like, a leader back then? He also was an emperor. Could you imagine he himself leading a charge on the battlefield? Napoleon, he was like, I'm always really fascinated by Napoleon because there is a lot of English propaganda from back in the day that was anti-Napoleon because obviously they were English and the French, Napoleon was French, you know. But for the reasons already discussed, but also for like the reasons that the Duke of Wellington, for example, he probably was very intimidated by the figure that is Napoleon, you know, because Napoleon was very brave and very like, he wasn't just the words, he acted as an emperor, as a leader, and yeah, he did a lot of heroic things and was a brilliant military strategist as well. So yeah, that's an interesting one. And now we have come to the part where we can think about the reasons why Napoleon might not have been the Übermensch that Nietzsche described. So why wouldn't he be an Übermensch? Well, although Nietzsche admired Napoleon a lot, he never said he was a fulfilled Übermensch, because Nietzsche, he says in Thus Spoke Zarathustra, that there never really was an actual Übermensch. It's like an image you can achieve, you have to strive for, you know. But Nietzsche did see Napoleon as a higher man, a higher person, so to say. And a higher person, a higher human, is someone who paves the way by destroying old ways, but is still connected to all too human, you know, the human, all too human world. So, why? Because Nietzsche crowned himself emperor, and that, I mean, I'm constantly confusing Nietzsche and Napoleon because they both start with an N, but Napoleon, obviously, obviously crowned himself emperor, and Nietzsche saw this as a weak move. You might think, but hey man, crowning yourself emperor, that's a powerful move. But no, Nietzsche, he said that crowning yourself emperor is a weak move because it relies on traditional symbols of power rather than standing on your own visions of power. So think about it. Napoleon, he was like, every man is equal, and yet he says, like, later in his life, I am the French emperor. You know, like, he breaks with tradition and says, like, nobility, no, we'll just do something else. But then he's like thinking, oh man, I have to find a way to impose my power. I'll crown myself emperor. And that is actually like going back to the tradition that you broke with. And that's seen as a weak move by Nietzsche. Very interesting, if you ask me. Also, Nietzsche says that Napoleon did too many concessions to the herd. With the Concordat, I wasn't sure how to pronounce it in English, but Le Concordat in French. Napoleon, he restores the ties with the Catholic Church. And Nietzsche, he saw the Christian morale as the biggest obstacle for an Übermensch to become Übermensch. And Nietzsche, he also saw this unifying with the Catholic Church as a knee fall to the masses or the herd. Politically, probably a genius move, but I mean, like, an Übermensch should not care about politics. And then the final reason, and that is a very big reason, and some people might be surprised about this reason, but Nietzsche clearly states that he despises nationalism. Nietzsche calls himself a good European, like, not in the sense that it's that what it means today, you know, because I also don't want like to make it sound like I don't know, but Nietzsche, he says like he says that Napoleon uses nationalism as his motor, and according to Nietzsche, that was a limitation of the free mind. And yeah, as I already said, he despises nationalism. He thinks it's he thinks it's just like a false sense of pride, I believe, that he wrote in the Joyful Wisdom. Yes. So in conclusion, Nietzsche saw Napoleon as a bridge. He proved that humans can rise out of mediocrity, but and turn history. But Napoleon eventually succumbed to the prison that is political structures, religious compromise, and personal vanity, which is why he remained human, all too human. So, I hope you guys enjoyed today's video,